Happy Resurrection Day, my friends. Most of us have grown up with some understanding of the holiday called Easter. But what we understand about it and how that impacts our lives makes all the difference, not just in the world, but in our eternity. In John 20, verse 1 through 8, we see how the three of Jesus' closest disciples responded to their initial encounter with the resurrection. John 20, verse 1 says, "Early on that first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and to the other disciple, the one Jesus loved, and said, 'They've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him.' So Peter and the other disciple started running for the tomb. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked in at the strips of linen lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came running along behind him and went straight into the tomb. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had wrapped around Jesus' head. The cloth was still lying in its place, separated from the linen. Finally, the other disciple who had reached the tomb first also went inside. He saw and believed." All right, so we have three occasions where it says saw here. In verse 1, Mary Magdalene, who was not named as one of the 12 disciples, but traveled with them and was the only one with Mary, the mother of Jesus, at the foot of the cross when Jesus was crucified. That Mary saw the tomb was empty and ran back to tell the other disciples. That Greek word there for saw is blepe, which means to look at, to see. What she saw didn't make sense, so she ran back, reporting that they've taken his body away, clearly missing on the significance of what happened. The next time we see the word saw is in verse 6, when Peter saw. The Greek word here is theroe, from which we get the word theory. It means to see in the sense of having ideas about the subject matter. But in verse 8, John saw the word, the Greek word being eidon, which means to know, to be aware, to consider, perceive, to be sure, and to understand. And it says, "And John believed." I've heard this preached, indicating that John understood the resurrection at this point. But verse 9 clearly points out that this isn't the case. These are people who lived with Jesus side by side, face to face, yet still didn't get it when he prophesied that those people were going to kill him and that on the third day he was going to rise from the dead. We've grown up in church and heard the resurrection story at least every year. We believe it, but do we really get it? Because here's the thing, Romans 8:11 says, "The spirit of him who raised Christ from the dead is living in you." When Jesus rose from the dead, he rose from the very pits of hell. Revelation 1:18 says, he did so with the keys of death and hell in his hand. Listen here. There is no bad thing, there's no evil that has dominion over you. Jesus destroyed the works of the devil 2,000 years ago. But how do you see that? Is it just a suit of new clothes that you wear once on Easter? Or is it a Holy Spirit revelation that sets you free and empowers you over the works over the devil? What you see makes all the difference. I guarantee you that you cannot overwhelm the Lord with your expectations. See, believe, and receive all that the Lord has for you. You have quite an Easter basket waiting.